Hello, this is Jenny welcoming you to the 1996th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline 26th of March 2015. The readers this week are Sonia, Maureen, Phil and myself, Jenny, with Jason on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include Stopping Parents in Their Tracks, Troubled Trust defends role as MP calls for more action, What a Load of Rubbish, and This Was Going to Be the Jewel in the Crown. First of all, though, there is a message from Diane de Jersey, and she says that there will be no talking newspaper next week, as it's Easter, of course, and no Enfield Vision meeting on the 6th of April. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now Sonia will read the first item of local news.
Managers of a free school trust have defended their actions after a damning government report and an MP calling on the Education Secretary to intervene further. In a letter seen by the Advertiser, Nick Dubois, MP for Enfield North, has called on Nicky Morgan to take tough action regarding Cuckoo Hall Academy's trust. It runs 4 primary schools and 1 secondary school in the borough. The government launched an investigation into the trust after 3 senior leaders were suspended in November. The Advertiser reported on the Department of Education's report into the investigation that followed. The report was published last month and contained details of serious breaches of the trust's funding agreement with the government. It detailed failings around safeguarding issues and governance and made recommendations about changes to the way the trust is run. The MP for Enfield North, where 2 of the 5 schools are based, has demanded drastic action to overhaul the running of the trust, saying that in the eyes of his constituents, very little has changed at the trust. Matthew Laban, head teacher of Heron Hall in Nightingale Road, Edmonton, and Kingfisher Hall in the Ryde, Ponders End, will be leaving the trust in September, and Alison Edmonds, the head of Woodpecker Hall in Nightingale Road, Edmonton, has stepped down from her role at the helm. Mr. Dubois has also called on the people who still run the trust to step down. Currently, the Board of Trustees is made up of Chairman Marino Charalambous, Anthony O'Hare, Donald Graham and Patricia Sauter. In the letter addressed to Ms. Morgan, dated March the 20th, Mr. Dubois writes, "It is clear that this leadership team do not carry the confidence of the parents and should resign to be replaced by a new board." He adds that he would like to meet the Education Secretary to discuss the concerns of parents who have approached him with their worries. "I am deeply concerned that given the serious shortcomings highlighted in the report, the requirement for the board and management to investigate themselves is flawed and will not carry the confidence of parents and other stakeholders," he said. However, the Trust has insisted that it has put measures in place in response to the report's findings. A spokesman for the Trust said, "As is well known, the Education Funding Agency report identified areas where we need to make improvements. Over the last few weeks, we have been working constructively with the EFA to do exactly this, including new governance procedures and strengthening the board, and we hope this reassures anyone with concerns. We and our brilliant staff remain committed to delivering the very best education to our children, so that the Trust and our schools become even stronger in the weeks and years ahead. This includes 2 of our 5 schools in Mr Dubois' constituency. Ofsted says Enfield Heights is already improving since we took it over at the Department for Education's request last year, and Kingfisher Hall is rated outstanding. The DFE would not say if Ms Morgan had as yet responded to Mr Dubois' calls for intervention. A spokesman said, Cuckoo Hall Academy's Trust has been issued with a financial notice to improve. They have also received a letter from the Regional Schools Commissioner making clear to the Trust that they must now take immediate action to address these concerns and strengthen governance arrangements. The notice will remain in place until we are satisfied that they have done so.
Parents are divided over plans to clamp down on drivers who park illegally while on the school run. Enfield Borough Council is setting up a rapid response team after revealing the 10 worst schools for parents parking illegally at dropping off and picking up time. The school considered to be the biggest offender for poor parking is St Andrew's Primary School in Churchbury Lane, where 181 people received parking tickets last year. A further 160 got penalties for parking illegally outside Enfield County School in Rosemary Avenue, Enfield. The remaining 8 schools in the top 10 were Eversley Primary School, Southgate School, Highfield Primary School, the Chesterfield School, Wilbury Primary School, St Mary's Primary School, Chaseside Primary School and Honeylands Primary School. However, parents outside St Andrews on Tuesday morning were unsure whether the scheme would stop the problem. Harriet Panyaniu, who has a child at the school, said she was in favour of the new system. She said the people who park illegally get what they deserve and there is enough space around here, but by parking illegally it just creates more hassle for everyone else and can be dangerous. Not enough people have patience to park correctly, unfortunately. I'm not sure if this will help. Despite a majority of parents being in favour of the pilot programme, some said it could become a cash cow for the local authority. Phillip claimed, they are trying to make money from illegally parked parents, but I haven't seen an accident around here. There's activity in the morning and then at the end of the day, nothing major. He added, I think the council should be doing more to help parents who have no option but to drive and quickly drop off their children and not prey on those who leave their car parked in the wrong place for a matter of minutes. Councillor Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment at Enfield Council, said, the vast majority of parents park responsibly, but there is a small minority that can't be bothered to do that and instead choose to cause chaos by dumping their car wherever they choose. There's absolutely no excuse at all for parking illegally outside schools. It endangers children, disrupts traffic and causes chaos during the morning rush hour. Councillor Bond admitted he was surprised by the number of people who parked illegally and refuted claims that the clampdown was a money-making scheme. He said, it did surprise me to see and hear of what is continuing to happen, and we want to keep people safe. This is not a money-making exercise. We are not trying to deliberately find ways to take money off people.
Calls have been made for Enfield Borough Council to pull its finger out after major shortcomings were discovered at the Ordnance Unity Hub in Enfield. Haverstock Healthcare Limited won the contract from NHS England to provide GP services at the Ordnance Road building, which includes a library, GP practice and a minor surgeries unit. However, a number of serious management errors have resulted in NHS England ruling that no minor surgeries can be performed at the hub, which opened last December. Carmen Lang, a member of the patient group for the hub, told the Enfield Independent of the plethora of issues the new site faced. They include no handles on consulting room doors, emergency locks in the wrong place, and specialist ceiling tiles designed for operating theatres installed in the wrong rooms. While praising the work of the GP, Ms. Lange revealed that almost 150 patients had been turned away for minor surgery, putting more pressure on the A&E and damaging the hub's reputation. She said, "We were really pleased with the plans, and this was going to be the jewel in the crown, but it is losing reputation because of major shortcomings. Someone needs to pull their finger out and sort these problems out quickly, because we cannot have another 3 months like this. This disabled toilet has the lock on the outside and not on the inside, which is a joke. People have to use the staff toilets because the sewage system of the main toilets are causing a disgusting stench." Enfield North MP, Nick Dubois, also has written to Enfield Borough Council expressing his concerns about the hub's issues. He said, "Frustration has boiled over because all these issues are being pushed from pillar to post and no one has taken any responsibility. This is bad project management and no one can take any responsibility. That is the most disappointing thing." An Enfield Council spokesman said, "The centre met the specification standards set by the NHS when it opened in December. The healthcare providers have since revised the specification, which has resulted in changes being made, which will be completed shortly. As with any new building, a small number of teething problems have been identified. These issues have either been addressed or are in the process of being addressed. Ordnance Unity Centre has been well used by the local residents since it opened its doors in December."
An Enfield MP and councillors are embroiled in a rubbish collection spat after confusion over the future of wheelie bins dominated a residents' meeting. An Edmonton resident who wanted to remain anonymous told the Advertiser that she was shocked to hear Guni Dogan, a Lower Edmonton Ward Labour councillor, tell a meeting of the Edmonton Area Ward Forum last week that the local authority had decided to axe weekly collections and had decided to charge for collection of compostables from residents' green bins. The news incensed Nick Dubois, the Conservative MP for Enfield North, who launched a petition earlier this year to keep up weekly bin collections. He learned of the comments and launched a tirade against the council's cabinet member for Environment, Chris Bond. "Labour just need to be honest with residents about this," said Mr Dubois. "They had a manifesto promise to keep weekly bin collections. Now, are they sticking to that promise or not?" Conservatives in the borough first began to raise concerns after it emerged that the council was trying to gauge public opinion about the possibility of changing the ways in which waste is collected by carrying out extensive market research on the issue. Mr Bond has tried to ease hostilities and has categorically dismissed any suggestion that bin collections will be changing in any time soon. "Dogan is only a relatively new councillor, so he might have got the wrong end of the stick," said Mr Bond. "The only time we have ever even mentioned anything like that in Labour group meetings would have been when we were having budget discussions. In those situations, ideas flow around because we have to consider everything, but there is no way I can see that I could ever sign off on charging people for us to collect their green bins. We are trying to get more people to recycle. That would be the biggest disincentive imaginable, so neither of these things is on the cards for the coming year." The petition launched by Mr Dubois in January has now attracted 1,333 signatures.
Survivors of the cruel and barbaric practice of female genital mutilation urged everyone in the community to play a role in preventing it happening to the estimated 2,800 girls at risk in Enfield. They told the conference of 120 teachers, health workers and police gathered at the Dugdale Centre for the first conference in the borough about the lifelong traumatising effects of FGM. They were backed by Baroness Northover, the International Development Minister, who attended the conference. Her department is committed to helping end the practice within a generation by working closely with affected communities in the UK. Delegates heard how the practice, which is illegal in the UK and carries a maximum sentence of 14 years, is a form of child abuse. It is estimated that 2,800 girls under 19 in Enfield are at risk of FGM, with those aged 5 to 12 in greatest danger, although it can happen to those of any age and can also be performed on adults. Detective Constable Sarah Wood said, under UK law, no child or woman can be deemed to give their consent to the practice. Campaigner Hebo Wardere said, I can remember it as if it was yesterday. I can remember the smell. They ripped us apart when we were screaming. I was 6 years old. FGM is cruel. FGM is barbaric. Aoife Orhan, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, said, we must be clear. FGM is a form of child abuse and violence against women and girls. It's a violation of human rights and an extreme form of discrimination against women. It's a procedure with no health benefits and one that causes extreme pain, psychological distress and health complications to millions of women worldwide. She said it was not an easy subject to deal with and was even harder with young children, but school staff had a role to play and needed to be aware of the risks which some pupils face and confident in acting on their concerns. Parents should be aware of the medical and psychological risks to their daughters and the legal implications if they allow it to happen. Councillor Doug Taylor said the borough had an FGM task and finish group, which brings together agencies to ensure a robust and effective approach to FGM. Anti-FGM campaigner, Enfield-based Alimato Dimonekini, who set up Project ACEI to end the practice and support women, said, I felt there was a lot of good work happening and people were not aware of everything that is happening. She organised the event with Enfield's safeguarding team and added, I was shocked that there are 2,800 girls in Enfield at risk. That is a problem for Enfield. From my experience and passion, it's my mission to try and change this. It takes 2 seconds, but it's a lifetime of pain. Psychotherapist Layla Hussein, who set up the Dahlia Project to counsel women who have undergone FGM, said, the focus has always been on physical scars, but there are also psychological scars. This is something that people have to live with. She said that although survivors can't get rid of it, they can learn how to live with the consequences, and many campaign to prevent it happening to others.
Ben Spencer was Saracens' hero as he slotted over a penalty with the last kick of the game to ensure that they ended their 4-year wait for silverware by beating Exeter 23-20 in the LV Cup final in Northampton. Sarries seemed to be easing to victory when they led 26 with little more than 10 minutes remaining, but holders Exeter hit back with 2 converted tries to level the scores with time running out. However, with extra time looming, Saracens roused themselves for one last effort and were awarded a penalty with just 20 seconds left on the clock, which Spencer calmly slotted between the uprights to seal a dramatic triumph. And skills coach Joe Shaw, who took charge of Sarries for the competition, was full of praise for his young scrum half. I was concentrating on what we would do if the kick was missed and we'd go into extra time, he said. Luckily for us, we have a kicker like Ben, who has been brilliant for us throughout the tournament. He's the best kicker in the country, if not the world, out of hand and from the tee. He just finished the game on a brilliant note for us, and I'm just so pleased with the boys. The match showed what this team has been about all year. This is a special group that never stops fighting, has always found a way. We did that again, despite creating a few hurdles for ourselves. I thought that in the last 10 minutes, the way we battled with 14 men to keep going just shows what this club is all about. Exeter are very similar to us and clawed it back, and I'm just pleased that we had that little bit more to win in the end. David Strettle grabbed 2 tries for Sarries, with Nick de Jager also crossing the line during a second-half spell, which saw them score 17 unanswered points in as many minutes.
A pensioner is recovering hospital after he had thousands of euros stolen from him in a violent robbery where his leg was broken. Police in Enfield are appealing for information after the 84-year-old was knocked to the ground before a robber took 4,000 euros. Police were called to Wades Hill, Winchmore Hill, on Saturday afternoon and spoke to the victim, who explained that he had returned home by car after withdrawing the euros. When he got out of the car and tried to get into his home, he was set upon by a man described as an Eastern European in his mid to late 20s, of medium build with short black hair and a moustache. He was wearing a black Parker-style jacket with a fur-lined hood, blue jeans, black shoes, and left in a grey Audi car. The victim was taken to hospital where he needs surgery on a broken leg. Detective Constable John McCarthy from Enfield CID said, "This was a vicious and sickening attack on a vulnerable elderly man who had exchanged money ahead of a holiday with his wife. There is a strong indication that he was targeted and followed by the suspect from a money exchange shop in Oakwood. I urge anyone who witnessed the incident or has any information to call police on 101, quoting reference 520-6085/15, or contact Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.
A student who overcame bullying and used her experiences to support others believes a Young Leaders scheme helped her become head girl. Lucy Heraclius was picked to join the Young Achievers Network run by the education charity Jack Petchey Foundation, thanks to her dedication to younger students at Edmonton County School. The scheme helps pupils develop professional and personal skills and teams them up with mentors to help them overcome challenges. More than 150,000 children in London and Essex have participated in the scheme over the past 15 years. Without being in the Young Achievers Network, I don't think I would have had the confidence to compete against other students, said 16-year-old Lucy. Candidates hoping to become head girl at the school in Great Cambridge Road have to face 3 tough stages: winning votes from their peers, writing a letter to the assistant head about their candidacy, and an interview with head teacher Dr. Susan Tranter. Lucy was enlisted on the mentoring programme through her school in 2013-14 and decided to extend the opportunity to other pupils. She spent the £200 grant she was given on student mentor badges and rewards for students who have been mentored. She said the scheme had really helped her build her character, which contributed to her selection for one of the school's top roles for students. The head girl, who is joining in the celebrations marking 15 years of the scheme, said, "The Achievers Network played a huge role in my confidence, social skills and decision-making. It has helped me expand, speak up and believe in myself." Maria Panay, who looks after student leaders at the school, said, "Lucy is an impeccably behaved model student. She has overcome serious bullying and has used this to show great empathy to others in similar situations." Lucy said her mentor, a grants officer at the Jack Petchey Foundation, helped with her transformation. "Chanel Stevens was my role model throughout the whole programme," she added. "Without her advice and mentoring sessions after school, I wouldn't be the independent Lucy I am today."
Held a demonstration outside a job centre calling for an end to the grotesque cruelty of benefit sanctions. Members of Enfield Alliance Against the Cuts, displayed a banner and handed out leaflets outside the Windmill Hill Job Centre in Enfield. The demonstration last Thursday was part of a national day of action by the Unite trade union. The union says that in London, the total number of sanctions handed out by the Department of Work and Pensions between October 2013 and September 2014 was 103,679. Chairman of the Enfield Alliance Against the Cuts, Chris Kaufman, said, "This is just one more attack on the low-paid and vulnerable by the coalition government. We can't stand by and let people have their benefits, which are mean enough already, slashed further, causing untold misery." Leanne Groves, Unite's community national organiser, said, "This government is attacking the unemployed for unemployment and treating claimants worse than criminals find in the courts. Decisions on guilt are made in secret, with the claimant not even allowed to be present to explain their case. Far from helping people back into work, sanctions undermine physical and mental health. They cause hardship, damaged relationships, create homelessness, and drive people to food banks, payday lenders, and crime. There is no justification for this grotesque cruelty by the government. Unite is calling on the DWP to end benefit sanctions, as this situation can't be allowed to go on in the 6th richest country in the world."
A man has been charged with arson after a fire broke out of a house in Enfield. Francesco Gargano of Galley Hill, Waltham Abbey, has also been charged with intent to endanger life after the incident in St Stephen's Road, Enfield, on Sunday, March the 8th. Police and the London Fire Brigade were called to the scene at 1:19 a.m. and found the front door of the property alight. A 25-year-old man, a 24-year-old woman and 2 children aged 1 and 5 were taken to an East London hospital suffering from smoke inhalation. The incident is being treated as arson after an accelerant was found in the house. Detective Constable Nick Waxham of Enfield Police said, "This is a serious incident. Had the occupants not been able to escape, it could have resulted in serious injuries or even loss of a life." Gargano will appear at Wood Green Crown Court on March 26. Anyone who may have witnessed the incident should call Enfield Police on 101 or Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.